Hey guys, it's Kevin again, my review for Birds of Prey. And what Birds of Prey is essentially about is basically we focus, of course, on Harley Quinn. She has recently broken up with the Joker and is kind of feeling a little bit free. She feels very liberated in that way. However, she realizes that there's a lot more people coming after her than she thinks. And one of those guys, Roman Sionis, is also trying to go after this girl, Cassandra Cain, because she has this diamond that he really wants. So basically, Harley decides that she's going to team up with all of these various women that have also been wronged by this same man to try to do what they can to protect this girl, but also bring justice to the city, and that's really all I'm going to say. So Birds of Prey overall, I was skeptical at first when it came to this movie. You know, when I first heard that it was a thing, I tried to keep an open mind, but at the same time, any film that follows Suicide Squad, which is a film I've had a very rocky relationship with. You know, I started off, didn't really like it, then I rewatched it, and I did like it, and then I rewatched it again last year, and I was like, I don't know what I was thinking, this is not good at all, and yeah, I pretty much just wrote it off after that. However, when the trailers and marketing started to come out, I actually was getting really excited for this. This looked like it was going to be something that was a lot of fun. It looked like it was going to take the Harley Quinn character and really expand upon her in a very exciting way, and I just felt this film had a lot of potential behind it, and I'm very happy to say that is absolutely the case. In fact, not only is this a great DCU film, I actually do think it is the strongest entry yet. I absolutely love Birds of Prey. There's so much that this film gets right, and we're just getting to right now, starting off with the cast. And without a doubt, that is one of the best things about this movie. And look, there's a lot of hate, I know, when it comes to Suicide Squad. But I will say, watching this film, I think the one thing we'll all be able to agree upon is that Margot Robbie absolutely was not one of them. She is fantastic in this film. And look, Margot Robbie's been killing it a lot lately, but she really does show how great she is, but also how much she understands this character. Harley Quinn, yeah, she is crazy. Yes, she is very psychotic in that way. Hell, she is very much a criminal. But Robbie plays her with so much fun and energy, and you can just tell how much she really is into the role, but she's not just that in this film. This feels like a far more well-realized character, so there's a lot more for Robbie to really do. She gets to play into the more emotional side of Harley, the more genuine side of her, the fact that she is becoming a better person as the film does go on. She does go through quite a big transformation in the film, and I just thought Robbie did such a great job. She's so much fun to watch, and she is hysterical in the role, but she also just gave a lot more layers to this character that I just did not know that this character could have. You know, I always knew there was a way to write Harley Quinn in a very complex manner, but Robbie really blew me away here, I have to say. And after this film, I'm very confident in saying I think she's absolutely one of the best casting choices within the entire DCEU. And I really hope just for her performance alone, we get to see more of her, because there's so much more they can do with this character moving forward. And I just really hope we get to see it, because she is just fantastic here and absolutely anchors this film. But the other amazing performance in this movie that everyone's going to be talking about is Eva McGregor as Roman Sionis. And when it comes to DCU, their history with villains has really not been very good at all. I think we've really only had like one or two that are generally good. But Ewan McGregor is absolutely the best of the bunch, and we'll get into why Roman is such a good villain a little bit later, but a lot of it is due to McGregor's just extremely committed performance. There isn't a single point in this film where it feels like he's half-assing it. He is just so into this role. He goes all in. He's so over the top and delightfully cheesy in just all the right ways, and I just really loved what he did here. I think the best way to sum him up is he's the best kind of very cheesy sort of Bond villain, but also is a lot more grounded and threatening than those villains were, and he just does an excellent job here. He's hilarious when he needs to be, he's incredibly menacing when he needs to be, and he is just so delightful in this role. It's absolutely one of McGregor's best performances. I loved what he did here. He really sunk his teeth into this role, and honestly kept surprising me, because, you know, you see him in the beginning of the movie, you think he's just gonna be, like, really funny, but he does reveal a lot more menace to him as the film goes on, and credit really is due to McGregor, who I really should never have underestimated. I mean, him being casted was something that definitely had me excited going into this film, but he honestly topped what I thought he was going to do here. He still was able to completely suck me into this role and completely, exceed my expectations of what I thought he was going to do, and just continue to show why he's one of the best character actors working today, and I just absolutely love what he did here. But the rest of the cast also really does deliver. In fact, all three of the Birds of Prey we get here, Jurnee, Smollett-Bell, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, and Rosie Perez, are all really great here. The big standout of those three, though, absolutely was Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who, despite her limited screen time, which we'll get into, is so fun in this role. She plays a character of Huntress who is this badass, but she also reveals to be very nerdy as the film goes on, and I just thought she was so much fun here. You could tell that Winstead was having a really great time here. And then Ella J. Basco is a newcomer that I really have not seen in much of anything, but I really hope I do after this film. Similar to Asher Angel last year in Shazam, as good as Margot Robbie is, there are points where I do think Belasco almost topped her. I mean, she is so good in this film, playing this very conniving and almost purposefully annoying character of Cassandra Cain, and she just does such a great job here. I really love what she did in this film. The interaction between her and Margot Robbie are so great, and all the women just have such great chemistry. I thought they worked so well together, and that's definitely something I want to see moving forward. I just really loved their dynamic in this film. I thought they did such an incredible job. But now let's get to the directing and the writing, because when it comes to Suicide Squad, I think the big thing that killed the movie was the director behind it. David Ayer just did not understand how to direct that film. He directed it very sloppily, almost like a music video, and he just didn't take it very seriously. So bringing in someone like, say, Cathy Yan, who I really haven't seen much of before, is absolutely the right direction to go in, because this is exactly what I wanted to see from Suicide Squad. This is a director that has a real voice. She has a real vision for this film, and my God, does she pull it off well. I mean, she pulls it off in a way that we've seen before. The film is very, it's definitely very energetic in that way, and it's very fast-paced, almost like Deadpool, which I've heard people compare it to. But Yan is still able to bring something fresh and exciting to this film that we just haven't seen before in this series yet. Yes, we saw fun in Shazam, but not in the way it's done here. I mean, it is elevated to another level, and I just thought Yan was just so great when it came to directing this film, because she does a great job with the comedic stuff, but she still remembers to take the film seriously. There's a surprising amount of grounded character work here that I really was not expecting, and I think Yan did a really great job knowing how to balance those two tones. It never felt like she was lost and didn't know what she wanted to do here. It felt like she generally had a vision, and I'm just really happy to see that that wasn't interfered in any way, because, the first few DC films reeked of studio interference, and I'm glad to see that we've moved far past that, and seeing what we get now, it's just incredible to behold, and a lot of that really is due to Yan's directing, and I really hope we get to see her, if there is another Birds of Prey film, which I really hope there is. I hope that she's able to further this series. I hope she's able to continue working on these films, because she really understands this world quite well. She really understands these characters quite well, and I think she did a really great job with the directing here. But the writing is also something that I have to give kudos to. The writer of this film is also the woman that wrote the screenplay of Bumblebee, and similar to what she was able to do with that series, how she was able to take the more outlandish and obnoxious elements of the Transformers series and kind of dial it down to the point where it worked, she does something similar here, except what I think she does really well is she actually takes what Suicide Squad was trying to do. The film is very over the top. The film can be very fast-paced in that way, but it's not to the point of an annoyance, because the film does know when to take its time. In fact, the Birds of Prey team itself isn't even formed until the third act of this movie. And that might be a disappointment to you, but for me, I think it was absolutely to the film's benefit because we're able to really flesh out all of these characters. Whether it's someone like, say, Black Canary, who we really get to see the very difficult relationship she has with Roman Sionis and see how tight she is with him and how hard it is for her to get out of that, and I thought they did a really great job with that. Or say someone like Helena Berlanti, who, even though we don't see a lot of her in the beginning of this film, we're still able to get a lot of understanding of who she is, what her personal stake is in all of this, what is her mission here, what is she really trying to accomplish. They do a really great job with that. Even Cassandra Cain, someone who is really could have just been this very one-note pickpocket, we see why she is the way she is. We see what kind of background she comes from and how a lot of these characters are very much in similar situations. Yes, they may be on different sides of the law and things like that. Not all of them are criminals like Harley is, but they do a really great job in showing how all these characters are connected. Even Roman Sionis, who the villain of this movie, you get a good idea of who he is, what he's trying to accomplish. And I think that's the thing this film pulls off so well. It's very character driven that way, but it remembers that Harley Quinn is the film's focus. And I know some people are thinking that's a problem, that it should be about the birds of prey, but trust me, I really don't see how this film could have worked without having Harley as that main focus, because we're used to Harley. Most people liked Margot Robbie's work in Suicide Squad. They want her to be good. They want to see more of this character. So I think putting Harley in here was actually kind of a genius move, because you really do get to see how connected she is in all this, but also get a lot more of her character. You know, she is someone that, yes, is a criminal, but there's a lot of stuff that has happened to her. There's a lot of people that have wronged her in her life, and you can see why she's doing the things that she is. And I thought they did a really great job in really getting us invested in this character, really stripping back the layers of her that they definitely were present in Suicide Squad, but that we really didn't get to dive into because that film just didn't give us enough time. This film does give you a lot more time to go into that character, and I thought they did a really great job with that. There's even one moment with Harley towards the end of the film that I really wasn't expecting, but it's something that was generally kind of heartfelt, kind of authentic. Nothing that like made me cry or anything, but something that I was really impressed by. I was not expecting them to go in the direction that they did with her, but they really do show the kind of person that Harley is, and the fact that, yes, she may not necessarily be a very sound individual, but she definitely can have some genuine moments. And I think that really does go to show how good the screenplay really is here. It's not just here to have fun characters. It's here to have characters that are fully fleshed out, characters that are fully developed. And I really would love to see what else they can do with her moving forward, because this hints at some really great stuff for her. And I was very impressed with that for sure. But it also remembers to be absolutely hysterical, and this film has no shortage when it comes to comedy. It's easily the funniest film in the DCU yet. I was cracking up so many times throughout this film. Just Harley's narration alone, which, yes, she does narrate this entire movie. This is how you do a narration. You know, like Gretel and Hansel last week, I found that narration to be very patronizing and just unnecessary. This is the kind of narration I love, because you have someone like Harley Quinn, who is crazy, who definitely is someone that is always, you know, giving you just 100% the entire time. She's always just so energetic in that way. And so the way that she narrates this film, the way that she'll tell it in almost a non-linear order to the point where it feels broken, but the movie itself doesn't feel broken. It's the way that she tells it is almost a stream of consciousness. I thought was such a great approach. It made so much sense for the character, but it also really elevated the hilarity of the film. There's so many great moments there that I don't want to give away, but just this recurring gag alone of the way that she introduces each character, not even knowing some of their names, but knowing how, like, she wronged them, I thought was just such a clever gag, and I loved what they ended up doing there. Also, I've been hearing many comparisons to this film with Deadpool, and look, I definitely do get it in the sense that it is hyper violent, in the sense that it really goes for that R rating like Deadpool did, and how no other Marvel film prior was R. Same with DC here. I definitely get that. And yes, Harley Quinn is a very snarky personality like Wade Wilson, but I think that's kind of where the comparisons stop because this is not nearly as meta. This is not nearly as in your face as Deadpool was. In a good way, Deadpool was in your face, obviously. This film is far more subtle in doing it, and it has its own style. So I think while I can see the Deadpool comparison for sure, I think overall it does do enough to really stick out. Harley Quinn is a much different character than that of Wade Wilson, so I think that alone separates it, which is why I didn't really compare it to Deadpool throughout, because I do think there is a very big difference there. There's similarities for sure, but I just don't think they're that similar overall. There's also this great running gag that they do with Renee Montoya's character with the way that she talks, and I don't want to say too much about it, but oh my god, anytime that they cut back to it, anytime they handled that, I just thought it was so great. It was easily my favorite thing about that character. And even the villain in this film, what I loved about this movie is that it's not one of those films where everything's hilarious and then the villain himself is so overly serious. No, the villain is just as crazy. He's just as ridiculous. He is someone that has many moments where you are really laughing at him, but there are moments where you're also intimidated of him. So again, there's just a great blend of those two elements. And I think that's what really makes this film as good as it is that they remembered how to balance everything. And I don't understand how they were able to do it when this film is shorter than Suicide Squad, but they really were able to pull it off here. And I thought they did a really excellent job with that, I have to say. And especially when it came to the end of this film, I was very satisfied with the way most of the storylines wrapped up. There wasn't really anything where, I needed more from that. Like, for the most part, I was pretty satisfied. The cinematography here, though, is so great in this film. It's so vibrant and colorful and really gives you this very sort of, it gives you this very sort of, fun feel throughout the whole movie. The movie's very fun in that way, but it also does have its own style to it, and it does a really great job with that. The action scenes in this movie especially are so great. The film really utilizes that R rating to its advantage. I mean, the scenes in this movie are so hyper-violent and graphic and so much more than you're thinking, and I think they did a really great job with that. And while, like I said, I don't really get the Deadpool comparison, the John Wick comparison in terms of the action sequences, oh yeah, I absolutely do get that. Especially scenes where it's Harley taking down a bunch of guys, just the kicks and the punches, they just feel so real. They really put you in there. And a lot of it's due to the fact that it's like full body shots and it's just very clear action. And I thought especially when it comes to the climax in the funhouse sequence at the end of the movie, oh, they really go all out with that. And there's so many fantastic scenes there. Harley Quinn definitely does get to kick a lot of ass in this movie, and I do not think you will be disappointed there. If you want to see some really great and very well crafted action scenes, look no further than this film, because they're really well done. They really do go all out in terms of that, and I was very impressed with the way that was handled. The other big element, though, that this does carry over from Suicide Squad is in its soundtrack. In Suicide Squad, there was all this music that was out of place, and it never stopped. It almost felt like a music video in that way. This film does take a similar approach, except the music actually does feel like it fits in. There are a couple points where it feels like, okay, maybe they're overdoing it a bit, but for the most part, I thought the soundtrack was really great here. It gave the film a very empowering and liberating feel, and I thought it worked so well for this film. It really just added to the badassery of it all, and I just really loved the soundtrack in this film. The score itself is also really good. There's not a huge score. A lot of it is just the soundtrack, but it definitely is, again, one of those things that very well could have worked if you just had the right people in play, and gratefully this film very much does, and I thought they did a really good job with that. The editing as well, like I said, this film is very fast-paced, but it never felt like there was too much going on. It never felt like it was glossing over things that it shouldn't have. I thought for the most part it was very well paced. So again, I'm really loving this film. There's so much that I really do adore about this film for sure. Now, is it a perfect movie? No. There are a couple things that I do think slightly bring it down. The first one being there is this recurring gag. The first one being that although I do appreciate them giving Harley Quinn a lot more layers, especially in one scene that I was very surprised with, her breaking up with the Joker, it sometimes does feel like an afterthought, and I get it, that's the joke, and it's a great joke. They really do make a mockery out of Jared Leto's Joker. They take every opportunity they can. I would have liked to see a little bit more flashbacks there, just every so often, maybe cut back to, what he did to Harley, maybe the impact it had on her. I think it would have maybe strengthened the film a little bit. I think they could have done a better job. The only other flaw I do have is kind of a big one, kind of not. Almost every character here, I think, is very well fleshed out, aside from the character of Renee Montoya. I think her being a police chief and the fact that she is kind of overshadowed by everyone else that's dominating the job, I think that is a really good arc, and I think they do some really good stuff there. But there's this subplot with her and Ali Wong, who plays her ex-girlfriend, and I felt like they did nothing with it. It felt like this character just didn't even really need to be there, and I just did not feel she served much of a purpose whatsoever. I felt like they could have done a lot more with that overall. And at the end of the movie, I was just kind of like, oh yeah, she was in there. Like, they were showing her name in the credits, and I was like, I don't really know why this character had to be there, because at the end of the day, aside from maybe one scene, I didn't really feel like she served that much of a purpose overall. Overall, though, Birds of Prey is pretty much everything I wanted it to be. It's hysterically funny. It's got some incredibly great chemistry between its lead actors. Margot Robbie, especially, is just so dynamic and funny in this role. I can't wait to see what she's going to do moving forward. You got a great director in Cathy Yan, who clearly knew what she wanted to do for this series, and definitely is a talent that I want to see more of for sure. It's got a great score, a fantastic villain in Roman Sionis, who, like I said, I think is someone that the film did an excellent job with, definitely the best villain to date when it comes to this series. And overall, it's just such a relentlessly entertaining film that very much does show the DC is moving in that direction that it needs to. It's a great film for Harley Quinn, really furthering her character, showing the potential that she has, but also all the new characters as well. It just is everything you want in a really fun and entertaining superhero film, and I'm definitely going to give Birds of Prey overall an A-. Like I said, guys, when we really think about it, and you look at how far the DCU has come, especially like 2 to 3 years ago, I would have never expected them to be on the level they are now. But they are getting to a point where I think we really need to start taking them a lot more seriously. They have some really great stuff in the pipeline for sure, and please do not overlook this one, guys. I do not want this to be a film that falls under the cracks, because I really do think they have something great going here, and I really do want to see it further developed and what else they can do for sure. But either way, guys, so my review of Birds of Prey. Let me know if you guys saw this one overall, left your thoughts on it. We'll see you guys in my next video, and we'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.